All right, in a new poll, Donald Trump remains the Republican frontrunner. Look at those números. He's got a 33-point over his nearest rival, Marco Rubio. And guess who's here to talk about it? A party panel that will blow your skirt up, including Katherine Timpf. She is the correspondent on the Greg Gutfeld show, and she's also a National Review reporter. Andy Levy is also here. He is the co-host of Red Eye on Fox News Channel, and Jamie Weinstein, the Daily Caller senior editor. Woohoo! Welcome, everyone.
Thanks for having us.
Andy, I will caller on you. So who wins in this giant tinkle match between Marco and Donald?
Well, first of all, you've been saying one of the names of the polls wrong. It's not the CNN ORC poll. It's the CNN ORC poll.
Of course.
And it's actually Donald Trump is polling very, very well with ORCs.
The mindless brutes from
exactly.
Lord of the Rings.
Look, I really hate to say this because it borders on the standard media. Rubio is the real winner here that we keep hearing every time Rubio is not the actual winner.
Yeah, which is every time.
Which is every time, and it's going to be the same way tomorrow. His only chance, I think, is if he can somehow pull to a strong second in a bunch of states, then maybe we can start talking. Maybe it's a sign that the attacks on Trump are working, but I haven't seen any polls that show that that's what's going to happen.
You know what it reminds me of? It reminds me of being in community college and a history class that I absolutely loved, sitting at the very front of the class, and I would raise my hand so emphatically every time the teacher asked for questions, and he'd be like, anyone else?
Yeah.
Anyone? No, seriously. And that's what this election is like. Donald Trump is really the only one raising his hand, and everyone else is looking down. They're not even playing the same game. Does this poll mean, this latest poll, and there are a number of polls from a number of organizations. I trust the Fox News polls most, of course. But does this mean that Trump has it sealed?
Well, you know, there are two objections to this poll that people are putting out there, at least the anti-Trump among us are pointing out that it's not a wide sample for a national poll, and also it was only half after the debate. Half of the poll was before the debate. Yeah. So you can take some solace into that until the next poll comes out and he's up by 50 points and not 30 points.
Okay.
But yeah, I don't know. I mean, is Marco Rubio...
Do you think the debate hurt him? It's not good at it anymore, but...
It's impossible to tell. You know, is Marco Rubio's strategy working? The truth is, no one knows. What wasn't working was what Marco Rubio was doing before.
Yes.
So might as well go out on your shield if you're going to go out mocking Donald Trump's little baby hands as you go and seeing maybe you have a chance to propel yourself to some sort of victory.
Little tiny hands, Kat.
Everyone's...
This whole thing gives you sickness and nausea.
Well, a lot does, but everybody's trying so hard to say, well, maybe, and it's like, yeah, everything's possible. I could be like, you know, like tonight could be really fun, and I could, you know, meet a guy that I like, and we'll fall in love, and we'll walk around holding hands. You know, but that doesn't generally happen to me at nighttime. I've had a lot of night times, so there's no reason for me to think it's going to happen now. Just like anything that Rubio's doing, there's no reason that it should work just because people are saying, well, maybe this time, maybe this time. So many times people say, this is going to take him down, this can take him down, this can take him down. Nothing does.
No.
You know, but you know, you can be one of those everything's possible, you know, look at Instagram and the little memes people, but you're gonna be wrong a lot.
Yeah, and I think people are wrong here. And
yes.
I think if this were to have some effect, if this were really to put any sort of a kink in Donald Trump's armor, he should have done it months ago. Like, he should have done it starting in October.
I don't even think anybody's really saying that. I mean, I could not have couched my answer more, you know, basically saying it ain't going to happen.
Right.
There's no sign that it's going to happen. I'm just saying, at this point, the best Rubio can hope for is to somehow shrink the gap a little bit, and somehow that will be a huge victory.
It's funny to watch.
Yeah.
It is funny
I like
to watch.
things that are funny.
You're absolutely right. It's deeply entertaining. And, you know, I've talked to a lot of Republicans in the last couple of days, and they're bummed. I mean, they're like, this is what's become of our party. We are a laughing stock. No one takes the process seriously. No one's talking about the issues. They're only talking about each other. They're giving Democrats grist for the mill. But
it's also funny.
I do have to say, though, the whole talking about Trump's stubby fingers and freakish baby hands, that is an important issue. It's not just a joke. I mean, we could be in a situation where the president has to push the button, and Trump won't be able to do it.
I mean, really, if they're that
so,
they're not even like
so this is a big issue.
Donald Trump, we need transparency. Donald Trump says he's a believer in the horse race theory of life, meaning that genetics matter. If he does have short, baby, stubby hands, it suggests that he's no secretariat, and we ought to know before we vote for him.
You know what's really interesting, though, because that's really good. I'm speaking of eugenics, which is terrifying when you have a cult of personality candidate. Oh, I won't go any further than that. But his wife, Melania, has very long fingers. And I think that if she also had the Vienna sausage fingers, he wouldn't have married her. But, you know, the fact that there is a genetic component there.
Right. No, you do that so that you hope the kids will have normal hands.
Average.
Yeah. No, that's absolutely right. And it's funny because I can't remember the exact expression, but Graydon Carter.
The short-fingered Bulgarian. Spy magazine in the 80s. And he still, to this day, Donald Trump takes pictures of magazines showing his fingers and circles them and sends them to Graydon Carter.
Actually, finger length is the most important issue in a presidential election. So I'm very glad Rubio brought it up.
We've never had a single-issue president.
I'm a single-issue voter. Finger length, most important.
What was Rubio supposed to do? I mean, as I tweeted last night to wild acclaim, Kennedy, the media that is now sort of tutting Rubio for lowering the discourse, it's like if the ref didn't see the initial penalty and only threw the flag on the retaliation. Like, Trump left him no choice. Nothing else was working. This is the last gasp. This is what
Marco Rubio was face masked. And that's what happens, and he grabbed onto his shirt.
Exactly.
All right, make sure you watch FBN's live coverage of Super Tuesday. It's tomorrow night starting at 6 p.m. Eastern. I'm going to be on with Neil Cavuto and the whole cast of characters. You don't want to miss a moment of it. Got to slow down now. You don't have to slow down. You go ahead and speed up into my arms, Dumpling. On Saturday, Hillary Clinton walloped Bernie Sanders in the South Carolina primary, 73.5 to 26%. And then she basked in her pathetic glory, taking months to trounce a 75-year-old socialist. And that makes Super Tuesday high stakes for the Vermont underdog. As tomorrow, Bernie's last stand. The party panelists, that Katherine Timpf, Andy Levy, and Jamie Weinstein. Jamie, I'll start with you. Bernie obviously did not do well with minorities in South Carolina. That's a bit of an understatement. I'm trying to be gracious. Why is he doing so badly?
Who knows? I guess they all the leaders have kind of lined up behind of minority communities behind Hillary Clinton, and Bernie Sanders, despite actually having a pretty stellar civil rights record, he
does. And Hillary Clinton having a horrible one.
He can't seem to get that message across and win a lot of minorities over. So, it's going to be a pretty dismal going, I think, from here on out for Bernie. I think his only chance is the indictment strategy, just staying in, hoping Hillary Clinton gets indicted.
And why doesn't he hop on the indictment train? I mean, that was such a stupid move, and he's not.
Because he's a nice little grandpa. I bet you he always has butterscotch candies.
Yeah, but they're probably melted and stuck to the inside of his pants with the mothballs.
But he doesn't want to waste them.
Yeah, well, here, check on this.
Look,
it's a race over, Andy.
If Sanders can narrow the gap and come in strong second in a bunch of states.
So he's got to use the Rubio strategy.
Yeah. Now, I saw an amazing stat in my my Decision Desk headquarters daily newsletter today, which I highly recommend people subscribe to. It's excellent. The black vote in South Carolina was so large and went so overwhelmingly for Hillary, she could have won the race without getting a single vote from a white voter. Wow. That is an unbelievable stat.
Right, but
she could be a host on BET. Like
she could, but she could also be a Democratic presidential nominee.
I mean, there's that too.
There is no path for Sanders.
I mean, but she creamed him. But this was the first time. Yeah. It took a lot of tries, and this is Bernie Sanders. So I feel like she could maybe be a one-term president or something. She's not going to be. She's not going to be popular. She's not going to be popular because everybody who's voting for her or going to vote for her is kind of like, okay, I don't know what else to do.
No, it's as though everyone has been stranded on a deserted island with Hillary Clinton, and they have to vote for someone, and she's the only person to vote for.
Yeah, and also, the more people see of her, the less they like her. Yeah. She's they limit her public appearances. The debates are, on random nights. And you're going to have to see a lot of that face and hear a lot of that voice as president, and that's not going to make things better.
Which only goes to show how amazing the Republicans have screwed this one up. Yeah. They may be nominating someone with as bad or even worse a popularity in the general public as Hillary Clinton. Yeah. And that's very hard to do in this scenario.
There's still a chance for Rubio.
But today on Outnumbered, it was amazing. Britt Hume was outlining Donald Trump's unfavorability numbers with Democrats and independents, and the way he was suggesting the math. He's underwater 27% with independents and over 70% with Democrats. And how do you win an election if you're that guy?
The one thing I would point out, though, is he was almost in a similar position in June when he got in the race among Republicans. He was underwater 27%.
Okay.
And he is like the greatest brander and salesman and
some kind of magic. I think he probably has like magic stuff.
Yeah, I think Democrats who are rooting really hard for Donald Trump right now are possibly making a big mistake.
I
think so too.
Well, I just, you know, I'm not a trumpeter, as Sarah Palin would say, but I would love to see Hillary Clinton mortally wounded because I'm a mean person. My panel's not. They're lovely, and they're returning later with fire and glory from above. Oh, really? Is that true? Andy Levy. I love him even more now.
Adam
All right.
Levy.
That's right. Last night, Leonardo DiCaprio won his first Oscar for his role in The Revenant, a film that involves him being cold and getting attacked by a bear. And after receiving the award, he made an impassioned plea for climate change legislation. Take a look.
Climate change is real. It is happening right now. It is the most urgent threat facing our entire species. I thank you all for this amazing award tonight. Let us not take this planet for granted. I do not take tonight for granted. Thank you so very much.
I do. The party panel returns. It's Kat Timpf, Andy Levy, and Jamie Weinstein. So is everything right in the world now that Leo's gotten his Oscar, Kat?
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad something good finally happened to him. Times have been so tough.
Really tough.
I hate him now because everybody felt bad that he didn't have an Oscar. People should feel bad for me for stuff then, because I don't have like whatever the other stuff he has.
Okay, look at the women that he dated alone.
He has like an endless supply of money and fame and like models, and people are like, yeah, they didn't have this one thing. He should have gone up there and made fun of himself. Okay, he talked about the planet instead. Boom, I'm done with him.
No, I don't think he has enough self-awareness to be
I don't think he doesn't know what's going on.
Okay, this is what we were talking about last night. We decided that if Leonardo DiCaprio didn't feel so guilty for stumbling into a successful career where everything comes easy, he'd probably be a libertarian. But because he's got this nagging guilt, he's turned himself into a whining liberal.
I never would have thought of it that way. His speech was garbage. His win was garbage. Remember the Sony hack?
Yeah.
And the emails that came out showing that he took, I think it was 6 flights on a private jet.
Whoa,
that's a carbon footprint.
The dude takes vacations on super yachts.
Big footprint.
He sits there and says, we need to elect a candidate who doesn't stand for the big polluters and the big corporations. Who do you think?
Well, then you gotta get out of here, then, bro.
He might as well have stood up there and lectured us on how awful it is to date supermodels.
Yeah,
like
it's
just
tough.
don't be a hypocrite.
Climate
change, not climate change. Just don't be a hypocrite.
No, but if they go to an all-inclusive resort, I mean, he can eat anything he wants. He can even eat their portion because they don't eat. That's actually a pretty smart move on his part. Is he the ultimate hypocrite?
He is the ultimate hypocrite, and I agree with Andy. I'll start listening to him about climate change when he starts living in a tree. But until he starts giving
Julia Butterfly Hill.
Exactly. That would give him at least some, at least some authority to speak on this. I think he might have just been auditioning for another James Cameron movie, maybe the next Avatar or something like that.
What I loved was the real Oscar voter. I think it was in the Hollywood Reporter, and the guy was saying he was basically auditioning for the Oscar by saying how tough it was for him to shoot this movie. And it's like, how many tens of millions of dollars are you getting paid for this?
But also, as I keep saying, if it was tough for you to shoot the movie, if you're not acting.
Yeah.
Like, if it was really easy to make that movie and you made it look difficult and look miserable, then you're acting. If you really were miserable and cold, you're not acting.
No, that's a really
I don't
good point.
feel bad for him. I feel bad for the people who feel bad for them because their lives must be sad.
Yes, if you are projecting your misery,
if you're genuinely happy about this win, oh my God, get a life.
Keanu Reeves should have won for John Wick.
He really should have, and thank you very much for that. Finally, we have a Reevesian on the panel. In Star Wars The Force Awakens, we saw our first Lady Jedi and a black stormtrooper. Now, in a recent interview, J.J. Abrams said we can also look forward to openly gay characters in future films. What about in past films?
Yeah,
Who were some openly?
Well, I'm not a huge Star Wars fan, so I'm not. Maybe
the Wookiee.
maybe the robot, whatever that.
C-3PO.
That's it.
Yeah.
But no, but I mean, if he starts going on, are we going to have like Irish characters now and Jewish? This is like supposed to be an entertaining movie, not like a multicultural day parade.
Yeah.
I don't understand the point of trying to specifically fill like different roles in a
There's
Star
a
Wars.
multicultural day parade.
I don't think there'll be
They're really
Irish
good.
In Europe.
characters because there's
Germany.
no Ireland in
Well,
the
the
Star
galaxy.
Wars
Yeah.
universe.
No.
Not yet.
And if there were, the
got
planet
me.
probably would have been blown up by the Death Star, Planet Ireland.
Yeah.
All right.
This is the real reason why I did not watch Star Wars yet.
Why?
Because
there
it's
wasn't enough gayness?
homophobic. I'm taking a stand against the homophobia. That's what I really meant to say.
I think there are already so many gay characters in Star Wars.
Of course, there are going to be openly gay characters in Star Wars. It's 2016. This
Yeah.
is the world we live in. Who cares? Like, I don't know. People pick the weirdest things to get.
Does this mean I'm going to have to see it now? When
Yes.
there are the gay characters?
Okay,
I saw
I'll
it?
take you to see Star Wars. You can come to my house. We'll go episode one, not one. We won't go episode one. But we'll do one at a time. I know, it's going to be so great. And then I'll huff on your skag. All right,
Ooh, no
footage of an alleged fight club in California has prompted California officials to investigate a high school campus near Sacramento. Well, that's the problem. Current and former students say it's been active for more than a decade. Look at that. Rock'em Sock'em Teen Bots. How would your life have been different if you were part of a fight club?
I'd be more prepared for Trump's America because I know that Trump doesn't want babies in this country. He wants people who can make America great again. And
Yeah.
if you're not getting tough like that, you're probably not one of those people.
Should we talk about the Fox Fight Club?
No, and this is what really gets me annoyed about stories like this is when you read the story and they always start out with the first rule of Fight Club. The first rule of Fight Club is you do not make jokes about the first rule of Fight Club. Stop it. Hacks.
I didn't make a joke about the first
I know
hack.
you didn't. I'm just saying, every time you read a story about this, it's always like, the first rule of Fight Club. Well, I guess it's... I mean, look, obviously...
They're wearing gloves.
I thought the same thing.
But look, the school can't let this go on if for no other reason than for the lawsuit potential. But yeah, it looks like a bunch of bros who decided they want to beat each other up. Put some headgear
How is it
on so
any
you don't get a
different?
concussion.
And maybe a kidney belt.
Put some gloves on.
I'm fine with it.
Find a private
You know what? A
place.
little
Go at it.
CTE never hurt anybody. Is this phony outrage?
I think so. I mean, like, whatever. I mean, if you think that they're fine, clearly, right? It wasn't because it was because a mom found the video. I mean, obviously, you can't let it go on. You're right, but they had gloves on.
Yeah, they did.
You know,
My mom went through my phone.
my mom saw playing.
You can't do that with your hand.
I'm just doing this. I can do whatever
Okay.
I want.
Oh, yeah, okay. 2 shake weights. Party panel, thank you so much. Jamie, Andy, and Kat.
Thanks.
This was a great way to start the week. And don't you worry, we got so much more coming up. Katie Pavlich joins me to discuss Donald Trump, his new Republican bandwagoneers, and the looming combustion of the grand old party. And later, I learned some new workout tips from a celebrity trainer who is hotter than a pistol. Am I ready to bare knuckle fight Ronda Rousey? Yep, pretty much. And Floyd Mayweather. Stay tuned.